Hello everybody and welcome to the midweek market update from Smack the Markets for the 9th of October. So in recent weeks, we seem to be having quite a lot of off-schedule economic news announcements which are having quite an impact in the markets, and this is sort of making a lot of market conditions very changeable. Not to mention the obvious ones, but sort of Brexit, and the closer we're getting to the end of the month and that proposed date of October the 31st, the leave date for the UK, is just, since we're getting closer to that, there is just more and more sort of rhetoric, more and more news that is coming out, and seemingly the negotiations not always going as smoothly as one would hoped. There's the US and China trade situation. The meetings are going on in the US at the moment. Again, they don't seem to be going quite as smoothly as everybody would hope. We have the Turkey military action in sort of Syria, which a lot of other partners are not particularly sort of comfortable with. And just to add some cream on the top of that, there is this sort of Mr. Trump's impeachment inquiry, which is ongoing. So there's plenty of things going on there which impact the market directly, and of course we're just hearing news about those as they develop through the news wires, and those are having quite an impact in many of the markets that traders are considering trading. So let's have a look at a few markets here that we discussed on Monday, and take a look at a few other markets that we're sort of keeping a close eye on here in the trading room. So if we come and have a look at the Dow first of all, the Dow really hasn't sort of moved an awful lot, or it hasn't, the whole situation I suppose with the Dow hasn't really sort of changed much, I should say, since Monday. And if I come straight down to the sort of 4-hour time frame, I'll try and explain why. So at the beginning of the week, we'd got this sort of rejection here of this sort of 26,000 level. The market was sort of moving up. It had come up to this sort of 26,500 level up here. These are two big sort of levels. They're two big zones that price has respected many times, and these are very sort of key decision point areas. We can see what sort of happened sort of through the beginning of this week. The market from the 26,500 area, the market sort of found resistance there. It sort of slipped back, not quite to 26,000, but it slipped back to other technical levels here that we have within that sort of range. So 26,100, 26,250, and 26,350 that I have in here. And the market just seems to be trading between these sort of levels pretty much sort of quite exactly. So until the market sort of really gets out of this sort of 26 sort of level to the short side, or 26,500 to the long side, I'm just looking at opportunities in between these sort of trading windows here within this sort of 500 sort of pip range. So no sort of major direction sort of change on this. I do think that if the market does get above 26,500, we could see a move up to 26,800. If 26,000 gets taken out, then I think we're going to see a move down there to sort of 25,500. So there's sort of some decent size sort of moves either way, and I think the market's sort of trying to decide whether this is just a short-term retracement or whether this is a longer-term protracted sort of downtrend. Now, if we come and take a look at silver, we can see the sort of turnaround here in that we've seen in many markets. We can see it sort of happening here in silver. At the beginning of the week, we were looking at silver more to the short side. We were looking at the sort of 1750 level here for the market to sort of break that here, and looking for that move to retest the $17 level here on the daily chart. At the moment, what we're seeing is we're seeing a bit of a rush to safe havens with all the sort of chaotic news that's sort of coming out, and precious metals are actually picking up the bid at the moment. So we're seeing a push up here towards sort of the $18 level. Now, from a lower time frame perspective, this sort of price action's now started to put in long trends, and we're certainly starting to put some good footings in, some good support around that sort of 1750 level on silver. So what I'm looking for here is, with the market sort of so close to set to the $18 level at the moment, I'm looking for opportunities once we get above 18. You can see we've got another little level here around 18.10, but then above that there is quite a decent size sort of trading window up here to around sort of 18 sort of 700. So there's quite a decent sort of size move there if we can get above the above this sort of 1810 level. Otherwise, we're looking at intraday plays here up until we can get sort of past this sort of resistance, and looking at those opportunities to the long side. Now, obviously, if the market does sort of roll over and we get all of this sort of long move taken out and price comes back down to sort of 1750 again, then our sort of bias will change and we'll start to look at the market more in a short trend bias as opposed to a long trend bias. Now, if we come and have a look at the currency markets. Now, the one that we mentioned at the beginning of the week here was Singapore dollar against the yen. We're looking at opportunities if the market could break this level here on the daily chart. As we can see, the market just hasn't managed to break that level yet. I mean, I suppose technically, the market could sort of roll over. We could sort of get a continuation short and a breakthrough maybe next week sometime now. But certainly at the moment, it doesn't look sort of any time soon. And you can see how many times the market's just sort of bouncing off that level at around 77,300 there on the 4-hour time frame. So another market here that we're sort of looking at the moment is we're looking at the dollar and the sort of strength in the US dollar, which seems to be sort of continuing. Now, the dollar has taken a little bit of a retracement sort of more recently, and we've seen a retracement in a lot of the corresponding markets. So if that US dollar continues to strengthen, then we might start to look at where or some of the better markets to look for opportunities to trade that dollar strength. And one here that I particularly like is Aussie dollar. So the Aussie has been particularly weak against many markets for quite some time, and that's why we've had these long-term sort of short trends. But price has been sort of finding support around this sort of current action here on the daily time frame for some time. With the recent sort of decline in the dollar over the past sort of trading session, we've now sort of seen a little bit of a retracement back up into this level again. And if the dollar continues to strengthen, then we're likely to see some sort of corresponding weakness here in the Aussie, and that may well sort of continue to sort of push this market short. And if it does, we've got a bit of a trading window here down to the old lows where we can see that the market's tested a number of times before. So that's the sort of trading window that I'll be looking for initially. Beyond that, there is plenty of sort of distance to the short side here on these higher time frames too. So there's a few markets there that we're keeping a close eye on in the trading room going into the second half of this week. I certainly hope it helps, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.